Describe a time when someone gave you something that you really wanted. You should say what it was, when you received it, who gave it to you, and explain how you felt when the person gave it to you.
Right. I'd like to talk about a time when I received something I really wanted, which was a new smartphone. This happened about 2 years ago, just before my birthday. I had been using an old phone for a long time, and it was getting slow and sometimes even stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted a new one, but I knew my parents couldn't afford the latest model. On my birthday, my older sister surprised me with a brand new smartphone.
Mm.
She had saved up her salary for several months to buy it for me. When she gave it to me, I was honestly shocked and so happy. I remember hugging her and almost crying because, I knew how hard she'd worked to get me something I wanted so much.
Yeah.
That phone made my life a lot easier, especially for my studies and staying in touch with friends. More than the phone itself, I felt really grateful for my sister's love and effort. It's still one of the best gifts I've ever received,
Yeah.
and I always remember how special that moment was. Part 3, Simulation Band-Aid.
Okay. Moving to part 3. Should employees have their own goals?
Yes, I think employees should have their own goals. Having personal goals helps people stay motivated and focused at work. For example, my friend set a goal to improve his communication skills, and it really helped him get a promotion.
Right.
When employees have something to work towards, they usually perform better and feel more satisfied with their job.
How should bosses reward employees?
Well, bosses should reward employees in ways that make them feel valued. This could be through bonuses, promotions, or even just saying thank you for good work.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, my manager once gave me a small gift card for finishing a big project, and it made me feel appreciated. Sometimes, even a simple compliment can be a great reward.
Okay. What kinds of gifts do young people like to receive as rewards?
Young people often like to get things like gadgets, gift cards, or even experiences like concert tickets as rewards. For example, my cousin was thrilled when she got wireless headphones for doing well in her exams.
Sure.
These kinds of gifts are popular because they're useful and fun.
And how should children spend their allowance money?
I think children should learn to spend their allowance wisely. They could save some of it, buy things they really need, or even spend a little on treats. For example, when I was younger, I used to save up my allowance to buy books.
Mm-hmm.
This taught me how to manage money and make good choices.
Why do people like shopping more now than in the past?
People like shopping more now because it's much easier and more convenient. With online shopping, you can buy almost anything from home.
Right.
There are also more choices and lots of discounts. For instance, my mom now shops for groceries online, which saves her time and effort. Shopping has become a fun activity for many people.
And finally, do you think shopping is good for a country's economy?
Yes, I think shopping is good for a country's economy. When people buy things, it helps businesses grow and creates jobs. For example, during festival seasons, shops hire more workers, which helps families earn money.
Okay.
More shopping also means more taxes for the government, which can be used for public services.
Okay, so that was the full set of Band-Aid responses.
Yep. Clear communication definitely answers the questions. Absolutely. Let's unpack some of that vocabulary. We heard surprised me when talking about the sister giving the phone,
Mm-hmm. Direct tells you it was unexpected.
and saved up her salary. Again, very clear about the effort.
Right. It gives context and the feelings shocked and grateful. Good, solid words.
Yeah, absolutely. And in part 3, talking about rewards making employees feel valued.
Or appreciated. Both get the point across feeling recognized.
Then, thrilled for the cousin getting headphones shows strong positive emotion.
It does. And manage money for the allowance question. Very functional phrase.
And convenient for why online shopping is popular.
Yeah.
Straightforward.
Exactly. All perfectly good words, effective communication. But maybe lacking a little bit of flair or precision compared to what we might expect at a higher level.
That's the key question, isn't it? It's not wrong, but is it the most effective or sophisticated way to say it?
Right. So let's keep these words in mind. Surprised me, saved up, shocked, grateful, valued, appreciated, thrilled, managed money, convenient.
Okay, now let's hear the same questions, but this time aiming for band 9. Listen out for those vocabulary shifts.
Let's do it. I'll ask the questions again. Part 2, Simulation Band 9. Describe a time when someone gave you something that you really wanted. You should say what it was, when you received it, who gave it to you, and explain how you felt when the person gave it to you.
Okay. I'd like to share a memorable occasion when I received something I had been wishing for, a professional camera.
Ah, okay.
This happened about a year ago, just after I finished my board exams. I've always been passionate about photography, but I only had a basic phone camera, which uh, limited my creativity.
Right.
My parents knew how much I wanted to explore this hobby seriously, but I never expected them to actually buy me a DSLR camera because it's quite expensive.
Sure.
On the day my exam results were announced, my parents surprised me with a beautifully wrapped box. When I opened it and saw the camera, I was honestly speechless.
Speechless. Okay.
I remember my dad saying he believed in my talent and wanted me to pursue my interests. That gesture meant the world to me, not just because of the camera itself, but because it showed their support and trust to me. Since then, I've learned a lot about photography and even started a small online portfolio. Receiving that gift made me feel incredibly grateful and motivated to make the most of the opportunity. Part 3, Simulation Band 9.
All right. Part 3 again. Should employees have their own goals?
Absolutely. Employees should set their own goals in addition to organizational targets. Personal goals foster a sense of ownership and drive, which can lead to greater job satisfaction and productivity.
Okay. Foster a sense of ownership.
Yeah. For example, a colleague of mine aimed to master a new software program, which not only benefited his career, but also contributed to our team's efficiency. When employees have clear aspirations, they're more likely to take initiative and grow professionally.
How should bosses reward employees?
Well, bosses should reward employees in ways that are both meaningful and tailored to individual preferences. While financial incentives like bonuses are effective, recognition through public praise, career advancement, or flexible work options can be equally motivating.
Tailored to individual preferences.
For instance, my previous manager organized a team lunch to celebrate our project's success, which boosted morale and strengthened our bond. The key is to acknowledge achievements in a way that makes employees feel genuinely valued.
Boosted morale. Okay. What kinds of gifts do young people like to receive as rewards?
Young people today often appreciate gifts that align with their interests or support their lifestyle, such as the latest gadgets, personalized accessories, or experiences like travel vouchers.
Hmm.
For example, my younger brother was thrilled to receive a smartwatch after scoring well in his exams, as it combined both technology and fitness. Such gifts are popular because they're practical, trendy, and reflect an understanding of the recipient's preferences.
Reflective understanding of the phrase. How should children spend their allowance money?
Children should be encouraged to manage their allowance responsibly by dividing it between saving, spending, and even donating. This approach teaches financial literacy and the value of money from a young age.
Financial literacy. Okay.
For instance, my niece saves a portion of her pocket money for books, spends some on treats, and donates a small amount to charity. This balanced method helps children develop good habits and a sense of social responsibility.
Why do people like shopping more now than in the past?
Shopping has become more appealing nowadays due to increased convenience, variety, and the influence of digital marketing. Online platforms offer endless options and make comparing prices effortless.
Right.
For example, I can order clothes from international brands with just a few clicks, something that wasn't possible before. Moreover, shopping is often seen as a recreational activity, providing instant gratification and a break from routine.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
And finally, do you think shopping is good for a country's economy?
Yes. Shopping plays a vital role in boosting a country's economy. Consumer spending drives demand for goods and services, which in turn creates jobs and stimulates business growth.
Stimulates business growth.
For instance, during festive seasons, increased shopping activity leads to higher sales and more employment opportunities in retail. Additionally, higher consumption generates tax revenue, which governments can use to invest in infrastructure and public welfare.
Tax revenue. Got it.
Okay, wow. You can really hear the difference there, can't you?
Absolutely. Straight away, the vocabulary feels richer, more precise.
Yeah. Instead of just a time when the Band 9 started with a memorable occasion,
Yeah.
that sets a different tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
More significant.
It does. And passionate about photography instead of just wanting something. Passionate implies a deeper level of interest.
Right. And the camera phone limited my creativity. That's much more specific than just saying the old phone was slow or limiting in general.
Exactly. Tells you how it was limiting. And then the reaction, speechless instead of shocked.
Yeah. Speechless feels stronger, almost overwhelming emotion.
It does. And calling the parent's act a gesture that elevates it suggests the meaning behind the action.
Definitely. And feeling incredibly motivated feels more profound, more driven than just very happy or grateful, even though grateful was also used later.
It points towards future action based on the feeling. Okay, let's list these Band 9 words like we did for Band 8. We had memorable occasion, passionate about, limited my creativity, speechless, gesture, incredibly motivated.
Okay. Now, looking at part 3, the language stayed elevated. Instead of goals just helping, they foster a sense of ownership.
Right. Foster implies nurturing or encouraging something to grow. It's more active.
And rewards should be tailored to individual preferences,
Mhm.
much more specific than just making people feel valued, though that's part of it.
Yeah, it shows more consideration for the individual. And the team lunch boosted morale. Morale is a great word there, that collective spirit.
It is. Then gifts should reflect an understanding of the person. That's quite insightful, isn't it? It's not just about the gift, but the thought process.
Precisely. And for allowance, bringing in financial literacy. That's a much broader, more conceptual term than just manage money.
Yeah. Shows understanding of the underlying skill being taught. And shopping, providing instant gratification. That captures a specific psychological aspect.
It does. And finally, the economic terms stimulate business growth and tax revenue. More formal, specific economic language than just helps businesses or taxes for the government.
Okay, let's add those to the Band 9 list. Foster a sense of ownership, tailored to individual preferences, morale, reflected understanding of, financial literacy, instant gratification, stimulate business growth, tax revenue.
So when you compare the lists, Band 8 surprised me. Saved up, shocked, grateful, valued, appreciated, thrilled, manage money, convenient. And Band 9, memorable occasion, passionate about, limited my creativity, speechless, gesture, incredibly motivated, foster a sense of ownership, tailored to individual preferences, morale, reflect an understanding of, financial literacy, instant gratification, stimulate business growth, tax revenue.
The difference is really clear when you lay them out like that. Both are communicating effectively, but the Band 9 vocabulary adds layers.
Layers, nuance, precision. It's about selecting words that convey not just the basic meaning, but also the intensity, the specific context, the underlying concept.
It demonstrates a wider vocabulary range or lexical resource, as they say in testing.
Exactly. And the ability to use those words accurately and appropriately in context. It makes the communication more sophisticated, more impactful.
It really shows how even small word choices can add up to create a significantly different impression of fluency and command of the language.
Definitely. It's something for anyone learning English to think about, not just learning new words, but understanding the shades of meaning between similar words.
So, paying attention to those nuances, trying to incorporate more precise language, that can really make a difference.
It absolutely can. It lifts the whole level of communication.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. Beyond just the words we choose, what other maybe subtle aspects of how we communicate, perhaps tone or rhythm or even pauses, significantly affect how well our ideas land and how we connect with others?
That's a great question. Definitely something to think about.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.